Welcome back to HQ Spotlight. The Colorado quarterback carousel has once again spun. It is stopped again on Kaidon Salter. This after a strong showing against Wyoming. As we know, it has been a revolving door of quarterbacks in Boulder, but the Buffs are going to need their best as they get set for a Big 12 matchup with number 25 BYU. Kaidon Salter coming off of a 4-touchdown performance, 3 through the air and 1 on the ground. Here's more from head coach Deion Sanders on the matchup and the decision.
Certainty. If you're going to run. If you're going to throw. Certainty, not, I don't know what I'm going to do. Running with a confidence like I'm running, not running, I'm going to get hit. He made up his mind to do what he needed to do, and he did it. Like whatever, the Bible says, whatever your hands find to do it with all your might. And we're hoping that we have a consistency, and not just Kaidon, but everyone, do it with everything you've got. And I think you just seen a kid just hit another switch and say, I got to get this together, and I got to play up to my ability.
Deion Sanders, all that drip on, it's hard to pay attention as we welcome in our college football analysts, Shehan, Jeyarajah, and Bud Elliot. Guys, he talks about the confidence that he has in Kaidon Salter. He said that confidence is ultimately what led him to get the decision to be QB1. But when you look at what he does in comparison to the other quarterbacks on the roster, why do you think Salter gives the Buffs the best shot when he's behind center?
Hey, Alex, I think it really comes down to how Colorado built this roster in the offseason. You lost 4 receivers who made NFL rosters. That's a lot for a program like Colorado to replace, including a guy named Travis Hunter, who was kind of just the get-out-of-jail-free card for Deion Sanders last year when he had to throw it up when he was in trouble. So I think bringing in Salter, a guy who's better with his legs certainly than Shedeur was, I think he's embraced the running a little bit more. But I also think Colorado's play calling has sort of come to him more. They have an NFL system there that's not really the thing that runs the quarterback all that much. But if you look in the last game, they kind of had a little more of those run concepts, a little bit more of those kind of bluff run concepts for the Buffs, and allowed him to kind of do a little bit more off the run fake stuff. He threw the ball with confidence. He actually looked better. Colorado's probably not going anywhere this season, but I do think if Salter plays at this level, he might keep him out of the basement in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this offensive line for the past 2 years, and they have a third offensive line coach in 3 years. They have a completely new group. And when you have that much turnover, a running quarterback is really kind of the cheat code to get out of it. And, I like what Deion Sanders said there, right? I think that Kaidon Salter has been a little inconsistent when he's chosen to run. I think about him compared to other mobile quarterbacks in college football, and I think that he's been less decisive as a runner. When he finally puts his foot down and goes, he's one of the faster quarterbacks that we have in the FBS and in the Big 12, but he just hasn't done it with consistency. You do have, of course, an NFL-style offensive coordinator in Pat Shurmur, but you need to find ways to integrate Kaidon Salter's running ability. If you don't, and it's just a passing competition, you are kind of hamstringing this offense in so many ways.
Yeah, and to that point, when it comes to Salter using his legs, he became the first Colorado quarterback with 300-plus passing yards and 75-plus rushing yards in a game since 2016. So he's kind of dipping his toe in there, getting used to being more mobile, but certainly going to need some more help against a BYU front seven holding down the fort. The Cougars have allowed just 17 points all year long, guys. So, Shehan, who else is going to be key to that offensive success for Colorado?
Yeah, I'm looking at running back Micah Welch. I talked about it. They haven't been able to run the ball for most of the past 2 years, but Micah Welch has been a little bit of a bright spot in this offense. He's somebody who was actually a high school recruit for Deion Sanders, a rarity, frankly, in this program, but he's developed over the course of a couple of years, and when Dallin Hayden went down before the opener, he stepped up and done a pretty good job overall. Look, again, I've talked about it over and over again. This offensive line isn't going to create a lot of opportunities for you, so it's incumbent on the running back to take on tackles, to be an extra blocker as well, by the way, for Kaidon Salter, and to be a physical runner who gives this team a chance against a BYU defense that, frankly, is one of the best in the entire country.
I think the other side on Colorado here, ultimately, it's getting Jordan Seaton back at left tackle. As Shehan mentioned the offensive line earlier, Jordan Seaton, has missed some time this year, but Jordan Seaton is one of the few, 5-star high school players who Deion Sanders has signed during his time with the Buffs. And so far, Seaton, when he's been healthy, has played like you would expect a 5-star to play. Getting him back in the lineup, I don't know if Colorado's going to win this, but if they don't have him, obviously that would be really a huge blow to them. It's great that he's back this week.
Good to have him back, especially if you were Kaidon Salter. I want to stay with the BYU defense for a minute, though, guys, because as we turn the page to that side of the matchup, I want to rattle off some numbers for you guys. I mentioned that they're just allowing 16 points all season. The Cougs are also giving up just over 205 yards per game. That's the second fewest in the FBS. They also have a nation-low 1.6 yards per rush that they're allowing. So, I mean, Shehan, what can you say about the job that their defensive coordinator, Jay Hill, is doing right now for BYU?
Yeah, this is a crazy good defense. The way that they attack in the front seven is almost unmatched right now, especially in the Big 12. And yeah, you look at the competition, it hasn't been great, but I don't care who you're playing. When through 3 games, you're allowing 0.6 yards per carry. That's crazy stuff. And this defense has done such a good job of being in good position. You mentioned Jay Hill, a defensive coordinator who was actually a head coach at Weber State before last year. They knew that they needed to revamp their defense after a lackluster 2023 season. He's come in, been an immediate impact figure in this program, and this defense in 2025 looks like it could be one of his best. I especially want to draw attention to the linebackers, Isaiah Glasker and Jack Kelly, who have been just absolutely living in opposing backfields through the first couple games of the year. And against the Colorado offensive line that, like we've talked about, is maybe not ready for show business, this is a really tough matchup for them.
Indeed, I think this is a really hard matchup for Colorado because of all the varying blitzes that BYU is going to bring. Shehan mentioned the backers, so I'll actually go with the safety. When I pop on this BYU tape, number 11, Faletu Satuala. I hope I got that right. What does get right, though, is him going downhill and lighting people up. He is a really fun watch. Like, that guy looks like he's moving at a different speed than everybody else on the field, and I would expect that to continue against Colorado.
So when it comes to your players to watch, Shehan, you're looking at Isaiah Gladker, and I'm going to let you. We're going to keep it at a first name basis for our good friend Faletaus. You said that better than I did, bud. So let's move ahead and get a game prediction from you guys. No surprise, BYU, the number 25 team in the country, comes into this one favored at 6.5. Bud, I'll give you the floor. What's your wager when it comes to this game?
I'm going to go ahead and take under here. I got BYU winning by 5 in kind of a defensive slugfest. First time on the road for a young quarterback for the Cougars. I could see them struggling a little bit, but I do think that defense will come through.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, he went on the road and played at East Carolina last week, and they ended up picking up a win. But this is a huge spot for quarterback Bear Bachmeier, the true freshman, really hasn't been tested to this point. I think that BYU, though, comes out with a vengeance. I think their defense shuts down Colorado's offense. And while I think that Colorado's defense steps to the table, I don't know if they're going to be able to hang for 4 quarters against an offensive line that's growing, against a running game led by LJ Martin that's played at a really high level, and against a quarterback that, while he is still young, is a physical marvel. So give me BYU to win. Give me BYU to cover 6.5.
Faletau Satuala. Final answer. BYU looking to start the season 4-0 for consecutive seasons for the second time in program history. Guys, appreciate the time. Looking forward to your coverage this weekend as college football rolls along into week 5. You can hear the Cover 3 podcast crew correctly pronounce that safety's last name. Scan that QR code on your screen to get tapped in with the latest college football headlines right now.